My name's Paula and I'm from Chic Emporium, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the problems of bleeding on old furniture and the varnishing coming through. And I've just decided impromptu to do this video because this project's come upon us and the very problem is happening, so I thought it'd be a perfect time to talk to you about it. This is a gorgeous little old tray that was of a reasonably dark wood. It's clearly a good quality and old, and as soon as we painted it with one coat of Vintage Rocks white out, the bleeding has become apparent. And I don't know if you can see that. Can you zoom in, camera? Can you see all these marks that are starting to come through? It's a little bit yellowy, a little bit dark. Now that is bleeding. That's old varnish that is coming through. So I'm going to show you, we can fix this, but it isn't as straightforward as it would be if it didn't happen. Finishing cream is ultimately a finishing product. It's a sealer. It has some other properties in it that are helpful, but not predominantly what it's for. But what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how we can use this product to solve and resolve this problem. So at this point, obviously, I can see I've got bleeding, so what I'm going to do is stop painting. There is no point in carrying on painting. More coats of paint will not cover it. It will just keep coming through. So I've got two options. I change the colour of the tray and paint it something really dark. That will cover it. But I don't want a dark tray, I want a white tray. So I'm going to give it a coat of finishing cream. And then I'm going to dry it with a hairdryer. And then I'm going to give it a second coat of finishing cream. And then I'm going to dry it with a hairdryer again. Then I'm going to carry on and paint. And at that point I'll come back and show you where we're at. So I'm going to give it two coats of this, drying it well in between, and then another coat of white paint. Okay. But I just wanted to show you, before I put that coat of paint on, having put two coats of finishing cream on, what it looks like. This is exactly what I was talking about. It has drawn out like a sponge all of the bleeding that's been within the wood. So it's gone, it actually looks as if I've made it worse. So if you had just carried on trying to paint your project and had little bits of bleeding that you were trying to ignore, and then varnished your project in finishing cream, this is what would have happened. You'd get all this yellow staining all over it, and it looks as if it's something that the finishing cream's done. Well, it hasn't. The varnish, the bleeding, all of that was already inside your wood. This has just drawn it out. It's because you hadn't dealt with it in the first place. So as soon as you notice bleeding, deal with it. We've blocked it, we've sealed it. We are now going to put a coat of the white paint on, and then you will see how much it's improved. So we'll come back when we get to that. Okay. Go. Right, so two more layers of paint, and look at it, brilliant. It's like the bleed was never there. This side that was really mucky and dirty has completely resolved itself. We've done a little bit of distressing with sandpaper, just to pick up some of the dark colour underneath. Now, the problem that we've got now, and this is what you need to think about every project, is that we've cured the bleeding, but the bleeding is still there, and this isn't a bleed through cure product. This isn't shellac or something else that you could buy in B&Q. This is a finishing cream, so it has solved it. But if I use more finishing cream, which I'm going to need to do now to do my decoupage, I stand the risk of the bleed through coming back. So I'm going to do it because we want this to be white and we want some decoupage on it, but we might need to do some stippling with a stipple brush and the paint over the top to cover up any bleed through that comes through. I'm not going to put as much finishing coat all over liberally as I would do normally when I'm doing decoupage, because I want to minimalise how much I use it. And when I'm finished, I'm going to finish this project with wax, not with finishing cream. If you've got a bleed through problem, if you've only treated it with finishing cream, you need to safeguard your project with wax, not more finishing cream, otherwise it will come through. So, decoupage. Got a paper napkin, and what we've done is cut out sections of it and loosely positioned it where we want it. We've taken off the two back layers, which has been a bit of a fiddle, but look, lots of bits of stuff has come off, and we're now left with a very translucent bit of paper napkin. The background of the paper napkin is the same colour as the white that we have used, which is perfect, so it's going to dissolve. So I'm going to just show you this one piece here before we crack on and get the rest done. So I'm literally putting a minimal amount of finishing cream where it's going to go, and then I'm going to put it in place, and it's very fragile so I have to be careful. And then I'm going to use my brush. It's important to use a soft brush at this point, not a really bristly one, otherwise it tears the paper. And all I'm doing is gently, I don't know if you can see this, brushing over the loose napkin and sealing out, getting rid of all the sort of lumps and bumps and wrinkles so that it's nice and smooth. Okay. So I'm now going to go on to put all the other pieces of the napkin in the same place, and then we'll see if we've got a bleed through problem that I've got to deal with and adapt when we're finished. So I'll show you what that looks like then. Right, we've had a fun day today solving the problems of this bleed through. When we've finished putting the decoupage on, I think you can see that the background of the sweet pea is slightly pinky, and I think that's the bleed through because the original napkin was very white. But I think we've got away with it actually. I think it works okay. Now we could use a stipple brush and break up some of this, but I think we then run the risk of more finishing cream and more bleeding, and actually it looks really, really flipping lovely as it is. So the joys of finishing cream, the joys of bleed through, they're real, and they happen to old pieces and new pieces. New pieces are just as risky because they've all got sat in them and they just come through. So you can use it to solve your problem, but it isn't bought for that purpose. So I just hope today showed you a little bit of what you could do with it. Thanks for watching.